Well, hello, everybody. This is Tina Kadish. We are back. I'm your podcast host for Employee to Entrepreneur podcast. This podcast is for aspiring female entrepreneurs who are transitioning from their corporate careers and have become an entrepreneur. They could be a successful entrepreneur, or they might be aspiring to be an entrepreneur. So I bring great speakers who have either made that transition, they're growing their business right now, or they're aspiring to be one. So today I have a great guest, Jennifer Cresswell. She is the founder and principal of Thoughtgro, and she helps business owners create those lasting legacies using strategies that support sustained growth and succession planning. So she is all about those legacies, those lasting legacies that support the growth of a business. And I haven't met too many people, business owners, Jennifer, like you, that do that. So thank you again for being here, Jennifer. And why don't you share a little bit here for the listeners more about what you do? How did you even get started in this business?
Thanks for having me, Tina. It's great to be here today. And I know we're talking to a lot of women who might be in either the early stage of entrepreneurship or thinking about entering entrepreneurship. And there's a lot that goes through your mind and a lot of things from my personal perspective. When I left to start Thoughtgro, Thoughtgro will be 3 years old at the and in July of this year, actually. So it wasn't that long ago that I was in a business. I won't say corporate America because I left corporate America to go to more what I'll call agency consulting type firms, smaller businesses, but still you're employed by someone else. So they take on more of the risk than you do
Mhm.
before becoming an entrepreneur. But it's okay to take the risk. It's okay to take the jump. And it's okay to be afraid in the beginning. Those are all normal feelings that people go through. But maybe what I can do is talk a little bit about my path, how I got here, and then
Yes.
what I do now, because what I do is what I love. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad I made that jump from, working, corporate America to a small business to my own business.
I love what you, no, I love your succession. I love the way you did it. And you mentioned a couple of things, fear, and maybe they're stuck, and you took that leap. So I applaud you for taking that leap. And today you are a business owner and you're helping other businesses. So, yes, you're right that most of my listeners are the aspiring women entrepreneurs, but I want them to also listen to women that have, yes, started their business, and today they're growing, they're scaling their business, in other words, and they're successful and learning of their journey and the struggles, the challenges along the way. So yes, so tell us more, Jennifer.
Absolutely. So I have an engineering degree, which surprises some people, but as they work with me, they're not as surprised about that. I parlayed that into the world of finance, doing everything from enacting the first Patriot Act changes to in fraud policy, and all the way up to managing the Amazon.com credit card portfolio.
Mm.
Then I left corporate America to expand outside of financial services and had my own book of business and consulting. We were doing marketing and technology consulting at the time, slash full service agency, so to speak. Had my own book of business, as I mentioned. And then they said, Jennifer, we want you to run the sales team. And I mentioned before, I have an engineering degree. So I looked
Mm.
at them and was like, me? Really? But
Engineering to sales. Wow.
But what I loved about it was it wasn't they wanted me to go out and sell. They wanted me to look at it strategically. What are we selling? How are we pricing it? How are we incenting our people? And what should we be selling? Right. So it was really the strategy. And I call that my first foray into entrepreneurship. It was great for me to be able to take that role on without assuming all of the risk of a business myself. So I'll stop there and just say that's my first recommendation to anyone out there. If you can take on things that are a little outside of your comfort zone, where you have to take on something innovative, do
Mm.
it because it'll help you to understand and to get over that fear of
Love it.
something that you're not sure how your skills parlay into that, but you know that you can do it, and it's your a first step to get over some of that fear of going out on your own.
That's beautiful because, stepping out of your comfort zone. I know for me, when I was in the corporate career, I got laid off, but what I did was I went back to a job. So I started my business part-time and I went to another job because it was comfortable.
Mhm.
I didn't believe in myself. I didn't feel that I could really start a business and sustain it to get clients. So what did I do? Out of fear, out of it was uncomfortable, I went to a job as a recruiter and I stayed there longer than I should have because I stayed in that comfort zone. So many women, they want to start a business, but they stay in their comfort zone even though they are miserable. I met someone through someone else the other day who stayed in a company for 30 years, miserable, but because waiting for that retirement age and keep saying, well, when I retire, I'm going to find my passion. I hate to be morbid here, but you might never get to retirement because you keep waiting for retirement. And so taking that leap in spite of the fear, do it with fear, do it out of your comfort zone. And you don't know what's going to happen. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, you go back and get another job, right? So,
Exactly.
and I think that's some of it's fear, some of it may be depending on what stage you are in your career. I always tell friends who are like, well, what was it like? Like, were you excited? It was all of those emotions in one. But I think one of the other steps, if you're going to go out on your own and start your own business, which I again highly recommend, you want to make sure you're in a comfortable place financially.
Yes.
Some people are now, sometimes, like in your case, when you got laid off, you started your own business, but you also took on another job. Some of it may have been fear. Some of it may have been, I'm not ready to swim and pay all my bills and pay my mortgage on my own. Like and everybody makes that personal decision. I'm not asking you for where you were, but that's another thing that I think women need to think about. Make sure you have your plan. If you say, okay, I'm going to go out on my own, I've got X amount of savings, this is how it's going to work, and be prepared for it not to work and to have a backup plan and be able to pivot. I'm not saying you're going to fail, but just have plan B and plan C and plan
Yes.
D so
Yes.
that you feel good about putting your energy into what you're focused on.
I love that when you said plan B, plan C, because when you're working in a corporate career, in a job, the company can lay you off, like I was laid off, or you might, be quitting. I mean, look at what's happening right now in the United States. A lot of government workers are getting laid off. Not to be political here, but they're getting laid off. They're losing their jobs. So you've been working all these years that might have been comfortable, getting good money, and you're waiting for that pension. And I'm not saying that they might not get a pension, but it might not have been the right career. And now, in 1 second, because that's what happened to me overnight, I had to figure out now what. Now, at the time, I was single woman with 2 kids
Mhm.
when I got laid off. So I didn't have a plan B. Big mistake. All right. And so, yes, I got a severance package, but that wasn't gonna keep me for too long. So I had to figure it out. And this is what happens. A lot of times we have to figure it out because we have no other choice. But you got to prepare, have a plan. I always coach my clients to have an exit plan strategy.
Yes.
And when you said about the finances, but having that plan, put together your financial house in order.
You're exactly right. And it's funny because we're talking about women who are going to go out and start their own businesses, but the exact same concept applies to business owners who are growing their businesses and eventually want to sell or eventually want
Exactly.
to transition, right? So it is about the money and the financial, but you can't just pull yourself out of a business if you're the hub. If you're the person who's keeping it all together, your business will fall apart if you leave. And that's what
Exactly.
I work with a lot of small business owners on. They've built these businesses and they did a lot of the work themselves, and now they have employees, and that's great. You should be commended. You should celebrate that. But now they tell me that I haven't gone on a vacation. I'm like, you have 15 employees. Why have you not taken a vacation? Well, I needed to do this and I needed to do this. And it's hard sometimes to get out of that mindset of I need to do
Yeah.
into so and so has to do. And it's okay if it's not done the same way that I do it. And that's what I talk about. That's what I'm talking about succession planning.
Yes.
How do you start to pull yourself out of your business and set up that strong foundation so that when that offer comes along, because they do, you want to be ready for that offer of someone who says, I really like that business. I'd
Yep.
like to buy it. And then you've got your people, you've got your processes, and you've got your clients, and it's all packaged. Yes,
Yes.
you still sell, you still play an important role. I'm not saying you're not important, but would you like to go on vacation for 2 weeks? Would you like to be able to, hand the business off to the next generation or sell it and take the equity out of it? And they go, oh, yes. So you have to start thinking about it. And it's the same for someone who's leaving corporate America where they don't have to think about all these
That's
things.
right. That's
And
right.
so, it's funny. I thought about when we first met, I was like, there's so many similarities, even though we're talking often to business people in different stages of owning businesses.
Of owning businesses, exactly. But what I love about bringing you here in the podcast is that you're not a brand new entrepreneur. You've been in your own business, okay? And but what you're sharing is the vision for someone who's just starting out.
Mhm.
You're helping, like if I was brand new right now, you're helping me to have this vision that, oh yeah, I could have employees. I could, have these people that are going to, I'm going to have the structure, the framework, and that I can take vacation and have my business working for me while I'm away. And that, yeah, one day I can sell it and I can make money. So you are helping them to see that, oh yeah, I'm new, but I see that, that growth and
And
that
and
legacy.
and
Yeah,
it's doable. So
it's
the
doable.
next step is my husband and I wanted to start a family.
Hmm.
So I left to go to a really small company that was three or four key people at the time.
Okay.
The owner was someone who I had connected with years earlier, and I was like, I need a different environment, different set of responsibilities. I still want to make a difference, but I truthfully, I wasn't going to be able to put in the hours that I'd been putting in the other firm.
Okay.
Fine. Lots of women out there that think that way too, have families, etc., want to spend time in different places.
Yes.
So I joined that company. I joined as the VP, eventually to COO, but I grew that company from three to four key people to 15 to 17 key people.
Mm.
So we were virtual before it was a thing, and we were a company of contractors.
Oh,
So no one was full time, which truthfully, I have an operational mind. That's where I shine. Can be a nightmare at times because everybody's got different schedules, different priorities. But it was fun, and it helped us to really find the right people for our organization. And
okay.
we sold that business in February of 2020. Everyone knows what happened in March. The
Yes.
company who bought us out of Chicago, lovely people, they were literally like, oh, you guys are virtual. What do we do? Because we've been in person. So
Hmm.
we had some synergies there, but really they just handed me a new P&L and said, everybody has a job. Just go keep doing what you're doing. Fast forward a year later, we were focused on the life sciences industry. That
Mm.
did very well during the pandemic.
Okay.
So it was time to integrate the two companies, which was always the plan and also became my project. And I did that. We had no personnel attrition. We were signing larger clients. I set up a system to have a clearer pipeline so we knew what was going on. And after that was all said and done, I thought to myself, I said, I love what I had just done. I can do this for other companies. And that was my light bulb moment that really gave me the opportunity to say, yes, I'm going to go and I'm going to do my own thing with ThoughtGrow. And
Right.
that's how ThoughtGrow was born.
I love that. That is a beautiful story. No, I just love hearing how you help the business owners. So you help the business owners that they're able to sell one day. You help them to create structure, processes. My husband, for example, is self-employed accountant, and he's looking to sell his business in a couple of years. Someone like him, I'm thinking, would be someone that needs to think about that, how to prepare, just like we are preparing to leave our corporate careers if we're in that situation. We as business owners need to think about preparing to sell our businesses one day so that we are creating a legacy. We can leave our business to family, if that is where we want to, leave it to. But I just love that. So what tips you had? You did share a couple. So somebody who's thinking about starting a business, some of the lessons that you've learned, you mentioned fear, you mentioned getting out of your comfort zone. Is there anything else that you recommend besides having a plan? I heard you say that earlier, having a plan. Are there any other tips or lessons that you've learned?
One other tip that I would put out there is to build your network.
Okay.
One of the things I always enjoy meeting new people, but because my roles were always focused on operations, I was really focused on making everything run, making sure we were getting the work done on time and on target, making sure the clients were happy. And did I do some networking? Yes. But when you're going to be starting your own business, you actually should do more networking
Yes.
ahead of going out on your own. Now, I'm one
Yes.
of those examples where I had a couple really strong leads. When I left, I really thought they were going to come through. We were close to, we exchanged things. And to be perfectly candid, they fell through. And I
Mm.
was prepared because I was like, if nothing comes through, this is still the right path. This is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. But it's never a good feeling when it all falls through. And you're like, well, what just happened? Um, so from that standpoint, I really bumped up the networking. And I would say for those out there who don't enjoy networking, you may learn to like it. And networking isn't going to a big room and how many business cards can I meet and how many people can I shake hands and get to know, etc. And it's also not about you know, just asking for help all the time,
Mm.
right? And feeling bad that you're asking for help. So networking can be one-on-one conversations with hey, so and so, you've been a good friend. Do you know anyone in this space that I could talk to? And go out for coffee and have a conversation. In the big room, have two meaningful conversations. You don't have to meet everybody. And that's you just start to build your network. The other thing I would say is don't be afraid to ask for help as women, I feel that sometimes I'd love to get your take on this, Tina. I feel like we're expected to do it all, figure it all out, and asking for help makes us look weak. And that's wrong. I want to put that out there for everyone. Asking for help is not weak. People do it all the time, and you'd be surprised at how many people want to help you. And if they can't, they might know someone else. And it will come back. You will meet other people. You'll start making connections and you'll start offering help to others who have helped you. And it's a really good feeling. So don't be afraid to ask for help because, in the end, even if you can't help them today, down the road, you likely will.
Amen to that. I have to say, Jennifer, it's so true. My take on it is I've always had this mindset that asking for help is weak, that I don't know something and oh, how can I ask someone for help? And I should know this. I should know this. I've also learned being vulnerable is okay. It's asking for help is nothing wrong. Being vulnerable, there is nothing wrong with it. Because yes, I believe in that too, that people want to help you.
Mhm.
And when you're, starting a business or even when you're growing your business, people want to help you and tap into people that in your network that you feel they can be a collaborator with you, they could
Mhm.
be a referral partner of yours. They could be someone they could be an influencer or a peer. There's different types of networking relationships is something that I've learned along the way in my journey is that there's different types of networking. And when you're going to a networking event, one of the things that I recommend is do your homework on the
Yes.
event itself. Who might be there? What is the networking group about? Is it a community of women or men? Like depending on who your audience are.
Mhm.
Don't just go and just think you're going to be passing out business cards. That is so old school.
Yes.
Strike up conversation with people. You want them to ask you for a business card because that means they want to know more. You've intrigued them. So don't go out and just pass out cards. Something that I've learned, and I've stopped giving out cards just like that at events. And thank you for sharing about building a network because that is an important thing. And people are afraid of it. Even going online here on Zoom at a networking event, it may not be in person. However, it is fear. People have fear and they don't know what to say about themselves and their business and who they help and how they help. It takes practice. So I appreciate you sharing that, Jennifer.
Absolutely. And it
Yes.
does take practice, Tina. I remember when I first started showing up and I was like, what do I say that I do? And I do a lot of things. I help business owners in a lot of ways. But as you start to hone your message, as you start to figure out what are you really doing for them, talk
Mm,
about the pain point. Like for me, it's business owners who are plugging all the holes in the boat and new ones keep springing and they're like, I don't know what to do and I'm just constantly in chaos.
okay.
Well, you need someone to come and help you organize and set up that, foundation so that you can continue to grow your business. That may not be yours, but try things out. Because let's put it this way, some people you will meet and you will never talk to again. So who cares what you said? Some people you will meet and you will continue to talk to them and strike up a relationship. And they'll be excited to see your progress and how you refine your message. I think that's what, if you look at, go do somebody who started a podcast and has been doing it for 10 years, right? Listen to their first podcast and listen to their podcast today. You'll
Mm.
see a difference, and if you listen to them all, you'll see an evolution. We're all evolving. It's okay. But if you don't start, then there's nowhere to go from there.
So true. If you don't start, there's nowhere to go. If you don't take action, nothing's going to change. And that is such a great message today. Jennifer, this has been such a pleasure to have you here today. How can people connect with you to learn more? Even though in the show notes here for the listeners, you will have all the information about Jennifer and how you can connect with her. But Jennifer, yes, how can people connect with you?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on today, Tina. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Folks can find me on LinkedIn, Jennifer Cresswell. I'd love for you to connect with me. I'm always open to new connections and always happy to answer questions for other folks thinking about going into business for themselves or small business owners trying to figure out what is their future and what do they want their legacy to be. You can also visit my website. It's thoughtgro.com. That's THOUGHTGRO.com.
Thank you, Jennifer, so much. And this is Tina Kadish, your podcast host of Employee to Entrepreneur. Every week, we come here with amazing speakers or myself on various business topics or topics that are about empowering women that they can take that step, that leap, I should say, and make that decision because life is too short and it's time for us to do what we love to do. Tina Kadish, until next time.